Ramada sa sa say so hum. Tich nat kun. Ramada sa sa say so hum. Tich nat kun. Ramada sa sa say so
The
hum.
comment section. I did find a comment. This one's interesting. Stay away from AA meetings. I don't know, because some of the perps are there. Because that's what I said about addicts, right? I didn't call them disgusting. That wouldn't be very nice of me. Um, though there's some, if they're sociopaths, yeah, but, no, what I was saying is that there's these ones that's a trait of theirs, and then there's these ones who become addicts because of those people harming them, right? And I was saying because I've dealt with so many of them that I know that it's a choice and it's something to do with their bad personality. It has nothing to do with them drinking. I was going back into the history too of stuff, and they kept blaming like drinking makes them violent. That is not true at all. The drinking is the addition to somebody that is a sociopath, basically, right? That has an antisocial personality disorder. So here's what happened. This one's interesting. It didn't make the media, but it's one of these stories. And this is from an anonymous, yes, but these stories were part of. I was surprised there wasn't more on him on this website because I found a lot of stuff on here, and I was surprised this name didn't even pop up. It was just an interesting thing. But people that have real run ins with these celebrities, because of the problems of trying to sue them, or it's sort of like in this category of, it's bad, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Yeah. So people will go into the comment section and post stuff, and they're pretty credible. They totally are, because all the stories I'd followed up on where it was like, oh, there's a hint. So this one says he was the guest speaker at an AA meeting I attended years ago in LA. He was actually quite inspiring and engaging, but after his speech, he attempted to pick up my friend, and we were in treatment together, right? Who was 19 at the time, and he was very persistent and cornered her by the coffee station, and she repeatedly turned him down. And he got more and more worked up, as he clearly wasn't used to being told no. No, actually, he is. He just doesn't take no for an answer. He's a no means yes guy, and he doesn't care because he wants to rape everybody. But anyway, they go, finally, another friend saw what was happening and intervened, giving her an escape. These accusations don't surprise me one bit. There you go. That was posted on the 16th after these came out. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's like a million stories like that. Yeah, because you're denying him. He's going to sit there and keep it. That's really scary, though, you guys. And after a 19-year-old. What about AA meeting needs to like protect like the people there from the sociopath addicts? Like, that's why I said, I go, what the hell are they teaching these people? Because there's two different, I mean, maybe there's more than two different types of addicts, but to me, it's like there's two categories. There's ones that are suffering, maybe they got an addiction because I don't know, maybe just because they party too much and they got an addiction, and then there's the ones with like they're not dealing with their pain properly, that whole thing where like you get a Russell Brand that rapes you and then all of a sudden they get a drinking problem because there was a couple in this story. But then there's this other group that are addicts because they're sociopaths and it's part of their traits because they want all the highs, right? And they're all manic and, whatever else is involved in that. But yeah, there's those ones. So he is, right? And he's a predator. So they're predators and then they go do that. And that's what I'm saying. I go, I don't know what they say in AA because it's like, no, you are your fucking addiction because that's part of your fucking traits. So are they separating? It wouldn't be the same. And then it would be like them. I hope they're not saying they're trying to say like your actions are just from you drinking or doing drugs. Because in this case, no, that's his real self coming out and wanting to harm people. That's it. No matter how much you drink, you're not going to be this piece of shit. Like I said, I had so many addicts around me. They did not turn into this piece of shit, okay? And then the ones that were total socios, yeah, they were chronically a piece of shit, and they were raping kids and doing all sorts of crap. So it had nothing to do with their addiction. This is kind of a weird comment, so I don't know. They go, I can't swear to it, but he goosed me once. I don't want to get into the details about how I knew it was likely him, and really, you can goose someone without being a rapist. Oh, really? So me just touching your body all over and grabbing your ass and shit, you're totally cool with it. That's kind of the problem where everybody's watching that and going, oh, it's totally nothing. That's you. And you can rape people without goosing them. Well, that's kind of not, um, what? And they're all, that's all I got. Basically, I think what that is similar to an Andy Dick one where there's like somebody groped me. I don't want to make a big deal out of it. You don't. You're not really. Why are you defending them? That's weird too. But that sounds like. I mean, it doesn't sound like a joke. It just sounds like yes, I think it's them. I don't want to make a big thing out of it. And we'll just let it be. And that doesn't mean he's a rapist because he grabs my body out of nowhere. It doesn't sound like a joke. It sounds like someone like that. Yeah, so one of my listeners, my viewers here, even brought this up about the 4 year thing. And I heard about that too because they were trying to say that he found out about it 4 years ago and then started creating this like guru crap. Like he
Ramadasa
slowly
sa
started
say
doing this
so
stuff. So I go, it's funny because I was like, anybody who's like, that they did these crimes and stuff, they would like probably go hide out somewhere. You don't want to be like in the public and maybe even hide out further, mostly because you did it. Oh no, he wants to be the attention crazed loon that he is, right? So it was just funny because I was listening to one of the audios and he's just like, one of his clips, and he's just like, I gave up celebrity a long time ago. And I'm just like, yeah, he's like getting more and more followers, right? Like millions of followers, and he's still in the media. And it's just like, it doesn't match to what he's saying there, really. It's just you're doing something different, but you're still trying to get attention. And you know that something's going to go down where everything's going to collapse, right? Financially or whatever. So, and it's just it's such a manipulative plot that it's just on his end, and that's the question that people should really be focused on. It's like, dude, why, it's like, why'd you do that when you found out about it? You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. But I wanted to read the explanation to this story because it was interesting. Russell Brand and why the allegations took so long to surface, right? Publishing stories like this in England and Wales is fraught with risk for media groups and accusers. So it came a little surprise that the darker corners of the internet were ablaze with conspiracy theories this week after Russell used the YouTube channel to call the allegations of sexual assault and rape against him a coordinated attack. Concerted agenda? I don't know, to control his voice. And he's still there, right? He's just not getting paid as he shouldn't. Okay, so but even among more mainstream voices, questions were raised about the timing. Toby Young, a former editor at The Spectator, asked if this was a more innocent reason why Chimes, the Sunday Times, Channel 4 dispatches had waited this long to produce their findings, while the British business, I don't know, Alan Sugar tweeted that it was strange that it's just strange that multiple people had come forward at the same time. Others wondered why it had taken so long for the story to be published, despite rumors swirling about Brown's behavior for years. Well, if you guys heard the rumors too, like what, I mean, I don't know, but in the Dispatch's documentary, Russell Brown in Plain Sight, the comedian Daniel Sloss said that he had heard allegations and rumors about Brown, while Deadline reported that Brown was dropped from Comedy Central's Roast Battle in 2018 after another comedian, Catherine Ryan, repeatedly accused him of being a sexual predator. Okay, so I want to stop there because I don't, the guy portions and all this really pissed me off. And you guys heard me get mad at that. And some people want to defend this guy and stuff like that. The thing is that at the time, while he's on TV, there's no consent to the conduct that he's doing. He's an Andy Dick, right? There's no consent. So for anybody to sit there, they want to, like I said, they want to push off that they're into watching rape, they're into rape, and they consider that consent because he's yelling the word, this is consensual as he's raping people, right? And that's the annoyance of this whole thing. Like, I didn't need to know about him being a predator on Catherine or anybody else. It's that the general public is okay with rape and you okayed it the whole time. And then this turns into this just to bring it even more to the forefront of additional things that he did. But it's not a shocking thing. Like, had I seen like all those things, like when I was looking at the nipple pinching thing, I was like, did I see that? I may have seen that and it was gross then. But the thing about it is that there's no consent in it, you guys. There's none. And if that's how you guys are conducting yourself, you're rapists. And that's why you sit there and call everybody liars. It's like, no, that's rape. Like, they're sexually assaulting people all over the place. On the air, on TV, on the MTV stuff, on all those things, that's sexual assault. There's no consent. He just does. He's like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm just being shocking, lady. It's consensual. Yeah, so no, it's everybody else. It literally, it just annoys me to no end. Like, I feel way ahead of the class here now, where it's like, oh, okay. Um, yeah, it's everybody else. It's everybody else. So they just want to keep questioning like why it took so long. I'd be happy that it took that long because it means that they really did their research. And then, but anyway, it says the reason, according to multiple experts, is simple. Publishing stories like this in England and Wales is extremely difficult and fraught with risk. People often think that we have a law that protects free speech here. We don't. We have a law that protects reputation. Yeah. Yeah, everything's kind of screwed up there, isn't it? A partner at Wiggins who represented the journalist Catherine Belton when she was sued by multiple Russian billionaires. Oh, God. Getting stories how, like, this may sound easy to people to watch a lot of crime dramas, but it's actually incredibly difficult. In England and Wales, the subject of unwanted stories can sue for libel if they believe their reputation has been damaged. The response, see, this is all about male supremacy anyway, because the laws were all like by men and for men, and their careers are the only things that matter. It really didn't have women as a thought for a lot of this stuff. So, it's like, don't you destroy the great white man. Okay, so it says the responsibility is on the party taken to court, not the subject of the allegations, to prove the story is substantially true on the balance of probabilities, while other defenses include that the story was in the public interest or an honest held opinion backed up by facts. Developments in privacy laws in the last 25 years have made it more difficult to publish, according to experts. That's interesting. So, which is probably why, as Louisa Compton, the head of news at Channel 4, explained on the BBC Radio 4 media show this week, the team had really spelled out how we managed to verify what we have. Journalists had reportedly interviewed hundreds of sources and seen private emails, texts, medical, and therapist notes, as well as submitting Freedom of Information requests, scrutinizing brands' books, interviews, and broadcasts to corroborate allegations. The journalists and their legal teams will also have been well aware that Brand had taken legal action previously. This is crazy. In 2014, he accepted substantial libel damages from The Sun on Sunday over the false claim that he cheated on his girlfriend, Jamima Khan. In the same year, the couple were granted an anti-harassment injunction against a masseuse after police said there was no case to answer over her claims that Brand had assaulted her. Is that not crazy? Yeah, but the police were rapists there, and they're terrible. I mean, they're just the same as here, but Yeah, it's bad. Legal battles can take years and cost are difficult to recoup, even if the publisher wins, adds Ken. Is it Ken? Anyway, even the big organizations work on a budget, and they have seen cuts in advertising slash, and publishers are having to make calculated commercial choices on whether they can afford to run certain stories. And as a result, many true stories don't get published. So at least we're getting like a background like on this bullshit. So yeah, there's a whole thing here. So the stakes are high for major media groups, but even higher for alleged victims who decide to tell their stories and have little financial backing or legal teams to place to support them. A partner at Howard Kennedy. That's the same everywhere. It's been for white men anyway. So hold on. So how could they say like I know that's the UK, but like here it's like the whole like justice for all crap, like they just spew this garbage out. And the reality is it's basically for rich white people, and then nobody else gets justice. Like it's just set up that way. Unless you had an attorney for every single human being, where you should be able to get one for any case that has some potential to go to a courthouse, that should be done, but they don't. They don't care. It's all bullshit. Like everything's bullshit. That's why I said, like, if you were to say America as a human, it's a sociopath because it's a fucking liar. Okay, so one of the standard ploys, which one particular law firm in London is doing, is to sue or threaten to sue the individual woman, not the journalist or the newspaper. And that's just unreal. But as she says, okay, says Stephen, who represents Zelda Perkins, a former assistant to the disgraced U.S. film producer Harvey Weinstein. The effect is chilling. Rowena Kennedy Casey, a criminal lawyer and labor peer, and many women stay silent because they fear having the bats of hell come after them. Yeah, I've said I go, the bats of hell come after me. I go, don't think it doesn't, but there's always that risk, like I said, but you have to just weigh it in for yourself. Will it be worth it? Even if you lost, right? So that's the effect is chilling. Yeah. So, okay, they fear the bats of hell. Okay. While ministers have made amendments to the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Bill to tackle so called SLAPP, strategic lawsuits against public participation, legal action often characterized by large numbers of aggressive pre-action letters targeting a financial weak defendant. And see, that's not that. I mean, that's just not fair. Like in that thing, and bringing claims simultaneously in multiple jurisdictions. These will only relate to slaps linked to economic misdeeds. Kennedy is among those who argue legislation needs to be extended and the very rich can weaponize the law. It's called lawfare. Yeah, guess who makes the laws? All the rich people. So, like, they're making it for themselves to protect themselves. I mean, that's just my opinion of it. And those tactics are also being used by powerful men to silence women. I mean, when have they not, right? They've been the ones doing these laws for the most part, or they've been laws in place, from them. That was the whole thing. We need to protect our own ass. So we need to make sure that we are protected. Not the women. We need to make sure we men are protected. And that was the whole thing with the age of consent thing too. Like they wanted children. Who was fighting over here that wanted to lower the age? Yeah, that dude, the Jeffrey's buddy over there. Yeah, he's like, I think 16 is pretty damn fine for my dick. It's like, oh, I'm glad you like came to our gender and asked, is it okay if you can rape kids? That's how they've been going on about it. A Ministry of Justice spokesperson said the government was committed to legislating to cover all forms of slaps as soon as possible. Okay. Zelda Perkins, who co-founded Can't Buy My Silence after blowing the whistle about Weinstein's behavior, said threats were often combined with non-disclosure agreements to protect abusers. And now, see me, here's my low fear factor again. I would say, fuck it. Let me get sued a million times. I'm dead serious. Is that bad? I don't know. I just, because I feel that the justice system has been a joke for us, and it's just not fair. It was always out of whack for us as victims and as women, and it was really for the ultra rich, like, to protect their stupid asses. And so they don't are they following the law? Like, listen, are they following the law? No. They're literal rapists. And they're coming up in here going, oh yeah, the court now. It's like, F the fucking laws. And then they start doing, oh no, legal. You know, they have it all, right? Being criminal and then pulling this shit. So the law is being perverted to protect and enable abuse. And I believe that's why those laws were there. I'm just saying, that's just my opinion on all this stuff, that they place things there purposely, and because they're manipulators, right? They're master manipulators. So if they wrote something, they will sneak some shit up to make sure that it covers their ass, right? That's what's been happening. That's why I said you should be educated on what these fuckers are, because they are master manipulators, and if you miss any little thing that they do, this is the kind of crap you're going to get. Like Sesta Fawcett, like those things like that. I can't believe how many people hate women out here, where they would look at that and go, oh, that sounds great. Totally, let's promote this. And then, no, I'll never support them again. Because I don't think that it was that off to where you couldn't tell, like, oh, this is a terrible thing, because people were telling them. And so they started doing these things and just manipulating so they can target women again, because they're such shit fucks. They're all sociopaths. So, I mean, they're going to do that because they want to protect themselves. That's why they target women, to protect themselves from being mega rapists. That has always been the issue. Of law shouldn't only apply to those with the biggest bank accounts. Yeah, exactly. We have the same, you know what I mean? It's a global problem. So, like I said, this case is probably the best one that's ever happened so far, because it really, to me, versus the Harvey bullshit, was literally in your face. You saw the guy raping everybody. Everybody's fine with rape, and it explains everybody's assholeness in the Harvey story. Like, you can go back now and go, oh, why did everybody say they didn't see nothing, and they're all friends with them, and they brushed it off, and you're like, why'd you brush it off, dude? Oh, because you guys are sitting in a circle talking about how you rape everybody, and you guys have a lot in common, right? Yeah, the way how they talk about women, you know what I mean? You see that thing. And then they're just like, he's my friend. You see that thing. But then you see it's a global issue, because if you're sitting there watching a video of some guy raping all these women and you didn't have a problem, then it's saying the problem is with you. You yourself. Everybody, right? And like I said, I know I'm a groom victim. I'm a groom fucking victim. And so for me, it's like peeling the onion, trying to fix all that damage, because there's a lot of these people that I grew up, listening to, and it just became normalized. And then you're just not thinking about all the horrible things they're doing, and it just becomes this normal thing. And then now it's sort of like I'm going back, and I'm like, holy shit, was that in my face? You're doing this thing, and no, it's because I'm a groom victim, and I can watch something that's so horrific, and I'm just like, what's wrong with that, And I became a lot more aware of that. Maybe it was like 2014 or whenever, some of this other stuff started coming out. And no, it's an ongoing process, because you're constantly trying to undo the damages of that grooming. I mean, I've been thinking of a million things, and then it's like, then I'll go off and do something, and it's only because I got groomed because of this thing here. And yeah, so but by the time that this happened, that wouldn't have been okay with me. I didn't see it. It's kind of weird. It's just like, I know who he is, totally. But I just didn't watch him. I didn't even know he was like that. He's disgusting. I didn't know he was running around going, I'm a sex addiction thing. I didn't. That's so weird. My focus was somewhere else, not on him. But everybody else's was. That's why I'm saying, I could blame them all, because it's like, you literally sat there and watched that, and then you handed him your children, and then the things he's saying, I go, oh, I don't need to, he's a rapist. I'm just watching the video. I'm like, oh, he's a rapist. Like, that's all you need to see. Some guy doing something and touching somebody and doing that, oh, he's a rapist. Because he doesn't ask for consent, right? He just does it. And he's doing it to be sadistic and evil. It's not a thing about sex. That's why I said, I go, it's not. To like really comprehend that, it's not. It has nothing to do with that. Though, the one thing when I pulled it up on the psychopathy thing, I had to think about it overnight. Like I'm always thinking, my brain just goes like, I was like, okay, wait, where they equate sex to love, yeah. One of the things to that, because he was raped as a kid, right, and he thinks that I don't know, it's all normalized, right? The big pedo monsters have normalized this behavior, okay? Um, where the high though of it, maybe the feeling of that, but the action of it is against your will. Like it's a power and control thing. Because he probably, like, I don't know if there's a psychological thing where when that happened, it's like he's being taken advantage of. And so then maybe, to try to overpower others to do it. Like, I don't even know. Because I don't believe that they added the rapist as the socio in the original research and everything, because all the men were rapists then and they were all sociopaths. Basically, I'm pretty sure everybody that was working on the psychopathy criminal mind bullshit, because they were all racist and they were rapists, and they just barely let women vote, like right before that one time period. But as they were going into this whole thing, I go, yeah. So then they even pointed out, they said that they treat people like objects. And I'm like, oh, did you not get a mirror, men? you know, that's why I said I could have ruined that whole clip by going on and on about this right here. But that was the thing. I go, yeah, so they got that from their religious doctrine. And so they didn't put it together or something, or they didn't want to, right? It's more probably like, I don't want to put that in there and say, I'm a sociopath. Like, I would have no problem if I found out I was a sociopath, like going through this thing. But I mean, it's just like the thing about it was, yeah, they got the object thing from that. And then the abuses in it. So they'll talk about abuses. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, what are you thinking of? Like, who do you think is doing this? I don't know. It's like this. I don't know. I can't answer it because they're off in a whole different universe. So then what it means is, because they missed out on that information, because obviously no one in the world is a rapist and we're all liars. This is at the time period they're going through the psychopathy thing. And so then they missed out on a huge, the general public as being a socio. So, I mean, it's just true because that's the traits of them. And so if you leave those things out, then you don't get a real perspective of that problem right there. And what's disturbing about it is that it was taught and then indoctrinated, and then the abuse in it, and then the sexual abuse. So it's like layered, right? It's like this like combo soup of shit that happened. And then they became these mega monsters, right? So yeah. And they made all these laws, and based on their religious doctrine. And so they want to protect that and okay child abuse still to this day, and create these monsters and then cry about mass shootings and this entire thing here. And bullies are socios, right? So that's another one. So I was like, they didn't correlate those things, and they were brushing it off. They're just like, oh, they'll grow out of that. I never once bullied a kid in school. We have been guilty of talking shit about, like some stuff behind people's back. Not our friends. It was just like some people were evil, and I just remember everybody talking. But and I know one of my friends had a major problem with some other girl. I don't know what the hell that was about, because she was just being pure evil to her. And she's like, I want to freaking fight that bitch. I don't know. That's how they were going on. But they were pretty bad in school. And then, no, I've never gone up to people. I was me at that time, I was very like I just did not want to confront people. I was non-confrontational. So when people, like, if I had a little tiff with my friend, it was always like, okay, well, I'm not talking to you now. So, and then I just want to avoid you because it's uncomfortable for me. So, but I'm not behind their back going, trashing her to hell, right? It's like, I just don't want to talk to her. We're just not going to talk about it. Like, that's how I was, So there wasn't, and luckily so, because then a lot of us all, became friends again. And there's not this like thing that you did these horrible things when we were fighting, And, no, not at all. Even as an adult, it's just like, I just I don't have anything good to say to you. It's like that. Yeah, so I mean, what else can we say about that? That was a good explanation as to why it took so long, just the legal stuff on it. And yeah, like I don't know all the legal stuff before they do like stories like that, but it could be a thing like right now somebody's doing a story on stuff that could be related to so and so, and I probably wouldn't know, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I should know, but they haven't done it. But so that's the question, like why didn't they do it? Because it's a thing that it has a lot of backup, so it's not like they couldn't have done. I don't know, the original media. The media originally painted the victims as these like slutty little whores that kept wanting to run around with these men, and it's like you need to correct that. You need to correct that whole fucking bullshit that you put out here. Like that's a number one thing. And they were able to write that. So don't you think that the victims are owed to have a correct version of that story versus a promotion of a child human trafficking ring to these guys? Which is what led into this thing with me, because it's the same group of people. So that was the thing where it was like, oh, this is totally normalized. And that's why the lawyer answered the way he did to me. Because that's the Kim Foley crowd, right? And so I'm sitting there like, I have nothing, I had no idea about none of that. None of it. It was crazy. None. Not a clue about any of those stories. And I'm just sitting there going, who answers like that? You know? But that's how they did answer. And I proved it. I go, the dude sent me a Christmas card. I mean, how many fucking lawyers do you get a Christmas card from? Like those things. And then he knows I have pets and everything. So they know me personally. Like there's a thing there. And I was just like, I don't understand the media. That's the thing about it. It's like, they don't even need to like out my name. You know what I mean? Whatever they're going to do. I don't care. But the thing is that there's more people involved in that ring of people that had stories, but they screwed us all over. And they harmed me by putting out and promoting a child human trafficking ring to have this thing to happen to me and for the public to not give a shit. Like there's a whole thing at play here, and they built this thing up, through the media for decades, because that happened, I guess, in the 70s to the 80s or something like that. And, this thing happened in the 90s, and everybody's totally fine with child rape. That's really what it is. Because you would be outraged by it. And you wouldn't be okay with, Gene singing songs about, I was watching you come out to school, that shit. No, that would disturb you. Now, kids hearing it, it's just a grooming, because it's like you have no clue or concept like what that is. Because nobody told us as kids like, oh, this is a pedophile. This is pretty bad. No, not at all. Just my one friend mentioned something about that, and then everything else went to hell. Actually, really, with these other adults. It was more like, you need to stay away from that old man. But they didn't get into a thing about it. They didn't even arrest the guy. Like, I'm just thinking, God, if that was my kid and this old fucking 19-year-old was after my little 13-year-old, I would have called the cops. But we're kids, right? We're just like, well, that's how she's treating it. Like, you go tell her, don't hang out with him. That's what they did. I go, and then that guy started, like, creeping around, taking my fucking car, and I don't know what the hell. There was all kinds of stuff going on with that thing. And yeah, and nothing was done. And I'm just like, I don't know what this is, man. This is bad. It's really gross. Like, it was gross then, but it's actually more gross now because you didn't, just the whole thing about it. Yeah, and he should be in prison for preying on a child. Like, it's crazy because they said leave her alone. And he's such a predator that he's just like, I'm going to go around her. The mom. And we're all kids, so, it's a different thing. But he's an adult, so he's just like, I'm going to go around her. And then he takes her to a hotel. He takes a fucking kid to a hotel. And it's just like, how did they even do that? Katy Perry dad is a hot mess. I can't deal with him. I'm like, I can't deal with him. He already came out. He's like this preacher dude. I was like, no wonder she effed up. He's like, I forgive him. We all have our past. I'm like, oh, did you have this long past of rape? So you're being a serial rapist and touching kids? Are you telling us something with your male sympathy card there? I would be mad. I would disown my dad even doing that in the middle of this. Because here's the thing. Even though Katy Perry is a groper, I was like, we don't know if she got raped or harmed in some other way in private. Because, these celebrities, they don't get into all their shit. And then didn't talk about it. And I'm just like, there's something up with that kind of crap right there. And I would be furious. And that's something my dad would do or something. It's like, we forgive that guy. It's like, why are you doing that? That's why this guy exists to begin with. He exists because of your religion. He exists because you just gave him a pass right now. Why did you give him a pass? He hasn't even been arrested yet, right? He hasn't even served time. He hasn't done all these things, and you're already forgiving this guy for, this. It's like, why would you forgive a guy for jumping your daughter? Like, this is a weird thing. So it's like, why wouldn't you be like, thank God he dumped my daughter because he's a horrific piece of shit, right? That's how you would, in a healthy-minded person would probably react. Now, the dad of his new wife is the only one with the brain. Okay, he's like, I've been trying to get them to not be together this whole thing, and he preyed on her. Like, I guess the sister, introduced them when they were 19 years old, and then he got on her there. And I go, yeah, we need a protection in that year portion too, in that 19 to 20 portion, because I'm thinking at the 21 portion, I think that most people are totally cool there, right? Because you could drink, you do all that stuff. And I don't know, in the UK, it's probably 18 where you could drink. But the general consensus, I think, I haven't heard of any stories where people are like, I have a problem from 21 years old with a 30-year-old or something. I haven't seen too much of that. But I have seen in the 19 and 20 range right there. The 18, actually, it's 18, 19, and 20. And I was like, yeah, they probably should have a separate type of law right there, maybe for the protection with those older guys with them. But not like the same, like the full age of consent, right, at like to 18, but something where it's like limited with the 18, 19, 20. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, something right there. I was like, it's just a 3-year age thing, I mean, I don't know what they would want. Like, you would have to, like, to me, I want to respect somebody who's 19. Like, I didn't have what happened in that age range. I wasn't with any majorly older people. So, but like the abuse portions, like you would have to ask like victims of that, like they were 19 and then this old fart, did this. And what is it that where do they think it's fair, and what is it that you would want? Like, I would want to hear other victims talk about it. Before I come spouting off about anything. I keep using the word prostitute throughout here, and they still will not stop using it. The media, that's another problem. And, I jumped over that love thing. Okay, because it had something to do with that. Okay, so, you know how the rape thing, and he equates it to love. So here, like, anytime somebody will deny his advances, what it means to them is you don't love me. And then they get vicious, right? This is so common. I was even talking about that. It was the weirdest thing. Like, I told this guy, to get him off me, like, trying to sexually assault me and rape me as a kid. And then he gets angry. And I'm just like, shouldn't it be me being like fucking like furious? You know what I mean? And they this is how they were acting. And I was trying to understand the mindset of that, right? Yeah, so we get it here where it's just like you're denying me, love and attention, because I didn't get it from my daddy. And so if you get the hell out of my house, it was that thing. That's Russell. So we know at least a portion of where that's coming from. It's insane. And other victims were saying it too. They're like, I denied his advances, and then he got violent. And I was like, yeah, see. And then that's the area where there's a possibility that somebody can murder someone. It doesn't mean that they will, but the MO to it would be from that little thing right there. So you get stories about that all the time where a woman denies an advance and then the guy goes and kills her. So yeah, right there. So that's why I was like, well, and he likes to get sex workers, right? So I was like, is there any like unsolved mysteries in your area? Because he made that joke and it would have been fairly easy for him to get away with that. It would have, you guys. That's what was kind of like. He could have done that and he knew that he can get rid of her because nobody's, I don't know. That was just one of those where I was like, that could have happened. It just could have happened. And then it's just an unsolved case. And then he decides he wants to kind of blurt it out and knows that nobody would even think that he would do that. And yeah, they're known for doing that kind of thing. That's why I was like, yeah, that one there. That's very uncomfortable. That one right there. Yeah. I was like, that could have happened. But you know what else he lied about? Because I put it in the comment thing, was that he said he only raped one person. And that's not true. He raped more than one. So then he tails it off with that. And I'm like, well, does it mean that that's the truth of the one? Or is it also maybe a lie that it was more than one? You do have to think about that because these guys have done that a lot. And I wouldn't have any clue like where that would happen because I don't know where he lives or how long he lived in an area or when the hell. It would just be before 2013. It could have been when he was a kid because some of those cases with these actual like serial killers, they'll have a thing where maybe something started off when they were like 17, right? Or 18, something. And then they find out after they're done with their killing sprees that, oh yeah, their first killing was when they were like 18, right? And then nobody knew who did it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so because in his early childhood he's doing stuff that's very like on the lines where you're like, I'm surprised he didn't become a serial killer. But it's lacking. What is lacking is like this major like homicidal thing. So I'm just like, but there's a clue in his violent, just rape is violence, okay, guys? But the additional violence is with throwing things, losing that temper. Like, there's things, I'm trying to find, like, something that, like, goes with that. And, it's kind of there. Yeah, so I was like, you just need to hear more stories. Maybe there's some people that are scared. Like, they keep saying they were scared of him. I was like, why are you scared of this fucker? Yeah, there's some guys saying they were scared of him. I'm just like, I don't understand.